In this lesson, we will focus on implant functionality and the implant library. To begin, remember that in order to use implants, we must be in the Curved Slicing tab. Once you move to Curved Slicing, you will need to be sure that a panoramic curve has been drawn. To draw a panoramic curve, or if your software has automatically created a panoramic curve and you wish to redraw it, simply click the Arch Curve tool. Use the slider at the bottom of the axial slice to choose the level to draw your curve. Once you've selected the Arch Curve tool, use a series of left clicks to move around the arch. Double-click when finished. Once your curve is drawn, your panoramic and transaxial views will appear on the right. Keep in mind that the transaxial view is a cross-sectional slice along the long axis of the blue line in the panoramic image. To evaluate a site for a potential osteotomy, use the large blue ball to move to your region of interest. Click the ruler tool, and then a single left click to start the measurement and another to complete it. You may delete your measurements by clicking the Remove button next to each one. To place an implant, click the Implant Placement tool. This will open the implant library. If this is the first time you've used this feature, or if you've just installed the software, your implant library will be empty. To download implants, click Manage Library. As long as your computer is connected to the internet, you will have the option at the top to add an implant manufacturer. Click Next and you will see all of the different manufacturers that we have available. Deselect the default option of Select All, then scroll down to choose the different manufacturers that you use. In this case, we'll select the Straumann library. Click the checkbox next to the chosen manufacturer, then click Next. Please note that depending on the size of the library, it could take up to 10 minutes to download. Once the download is complete, click OK, and this will open your implant library. Here, you will notice that each implant in the library shows a description of the implant as well as the dimensions. Scroll through the implant library, find the appropriate fixture, single-click the implant. Notice the 3D rendering of the implant on the right side of the screen that can be examined and manipulated. Then click OK. Use the movement handle in the middle for bodily movement and the rotation handles at either end to rotate the implant into place. Remember that the yellow cone off of the occlusal of the implant is the restorative projection. Once we've placed the implant, you'll notice that it appears in all of our other views as well. Click the Minimize button to come back out of full screen view, and then we can examine the implant placement within the different views. Click Maximize to go full screen on the axial view, then use the yellow movement handle to move up or down. This will allow you to check buccolingual placement. Maximize the 3D view for 3D presentation. Once we've placed our implant, we can now work with the implant toolbar on the left side of the screen. The eyeball tool shows or hides the implant that we've placed. Click once to hide the implant, click again to show the implant. The color tool allows you to change the color of the implant. The information tool shows a description of all details related to the implant. The Replace Implant tool brings us back into the implant library and allows us to choose a different fixture. Choose the new implant and then click OK. To delete an implant, click Remove from the implant toolbar. Click Minimize to come back out of 3D full screen, and then maximize the transaxial view to examine the implant placement slice by slice. Simply hover your mouse anywhere in the radiograph and use the scroll wheel on your mouse to move left or right all the way through the body of the implant. This allows for a thorough check of placement in bone. If you have scrolled away from the implant and would like to recenter your view, move to the implant toolbar and use Center at Implant to go back directly to the center of the implant in all of the views. Another virtual option is to place an abutment. Simply click back on Replace Implant. Instead of replacing the implant, however, go to the top and move from the Implant tab to the Abutment tab. Check the box to create an abutment, then choose Straight or Angled Abutment, and then enter the abutment height. If you hover your mouse over the height box, you will see that the abutment must be between 0.01 millimeters and 20 millimeters. In this case, we will add an abutment height of 4 millimeters, and you can see this instantly reflected in the 3D virtualization. Click OK and the abutment is placed at the occlusal of the implant before the restorative space. To add another implant, simply use the blue movement handle to navigate to the new location, go full screen on the transaxial view, and use the ruler to do measurements. Once again, this site has plenty of bone height but is lacking in width. You may remove your measurements with the Remove button next to each one. Click the Implant Placement tool to return to the implant library and select a new fixture. In this case, we'll try to use the same implant as before. Select the implant, then click OK. Move and rotate the implant into place. To add an abutment, click the Replace Implant tool, go to the Abutment tab, create abutment, choose Straight or Angled, then choose the abutment height. To remove any implant from a plan, just click the Remove button next to any fixture. Another visualization option for virtual implants is under the Oblique Slicing tab. Click Oblique Slicing, then zoom in by clicking our mouse tools and changing the mouse wheel option from slide to zoom. Move your mouse to the radiograph and scroll your mouse wheel to zoom in. Then change your mouse wheel settings back to slide. Using the yellow movement handle, scroll in the axial slicing until you locate the fixture that was placed. Then, use the other movement handles to basically line up your crosshairs directly down the center of that fixture. Once you've done this, you can left-click and hold the smaller of the balls on any of the movement handles to rotate 360 degrees around the center of the implant to verify proper placement in bone. You may do this from any perspective by using the different movement handles. This is just like being able to physically walk all the way around the implant to inspect it. To return to implant functionality, we must go back to curved slicing. To access the implant library at any time, just click the Implant Placement tool. Although we downloaded the entire Straumann implant library, there's a very good chance that for whatever manufacturer that you only use a handful of their different implants. If so, you can add those implants to your favorites. Simply click the star next to each fixture that you use regularly. You may then move up to Filter and sort your implant library by favorites. This gives you a short list of all of the implants that you use regularly without having to sort through a full library. Although our implant library is quite extensive, there may be an occasion where you would like to create your own implant. To do this, just click the Create Your Own Implant tool, then fill in all of the different fields. Fields marked in red are mandatory. Choose the body style, the head type, the color, and then click OK. You will then see the implant has been added to the implant library. You are now prepared to use CS3D imaging with full virtual implant and implant library functionality. Please take note of the system requirements for best software performance. If you have questions about this or any of our products, please contact us at 800-944-6365 or visit us on the web at carestreamdental.com.